to the Post-Purchase Pro podcast.
This is the only podcast that dives deep into post-purchase marketing to help Amazon sellers increase sales, ranking, reviews, and profits. It's everything that happens after the initial sale that makes a difference. We call this the back end.
I love the back end, Seth. And now we're back talking more about the back end. We have a special guest today, don't we?
We sure do, Sean. It seems like we've been traveling in the same circles and we've been talking about it. I'm doing this interview for a long time, but today is finally the day. Welcome, Mina Elias, founder of Trivium Group. Mina, we're so excited to have you here.
I'm excited to be talking about the back end too, guys.
Mina, we love to talk to people that are experts in the industry, and we're talking specifically to our audience, which is predominantly Amazon sellers, and a lot of them are building their own brands, which I know that's who you work with every single day. So, Mina, we're going to dig into all the nitty gritty of how do you do that at a bigger scale. But first of all, who is Mina Elias, and why haven't we been on the phone together before?
Great question. I honestly, I don't know. I know like it's a very long time coming. We did the 49 tips or whatever that thing is,
Yep.
right? Together. So sorry. So I don't know. I mean, I missed you guys at Surge. I know both of us were there, right? So it's all good. We're now connected, which is great. Who's Mina Elias? Basically my background's in chemical engineering and chemistry. I worked in corporate. 9 to 5, medical devices company, new product development for many years. Hated corporate. Became an MMA fighter in 2013 on the side. Was obsessed with supplements my whole life, and in 2018 decided to start a supplement brand. I kind of hated my 9 to 5 career. Corporate wasn't for me. I'm not built to. I mean, I'm the best asset you can hire if you're in corporate, right? I'm the except for the fact that like I hate to be told what to do. But if you're like, hey man, like this is your domain, like go, like I'll like break through walls, like that's who I am, right? But if you're like, stop working so hard, I'm like, dude, like get away from me. Which I was told. I was told many times in corporate, stop working so hard. So anyways, created a supplement brand and figured the best way to actually sell it was on Amazon, because I was buying all my supplements from Amazon, and then I hated going to supplement stores. And when I tried to sell my stuff in supplement stores, it was a huge like waste of time. They would say, yeah, like we'll take one, blah blah blah, and then they'd never get back to me. And so I got obsessed with Amazon, and 6 months into the business, MMA Nutrition, which is my supplement brand, was doing $4,000 a month in profit. I got fired from my job, packed my life into a suitcase, went to Egypt for 4 months to stay with my grandma, save money, made it back to America with $10,000 a month in profit. By like 4 months later, moved to LA and started sharing all of my learnings in the Facebook groups and podcasts and stuff like that. So COVID hit. I was bored. I was sitting at home, and I'm like, people love when I share PPC information, right? Because I was doing PPC in a very competitive niche. I figured it out. I haven't figured it out. I just figured a lot of things out. Like I was testing constantly, blowing money. A lot of people like think, whatever, like they sharpen their axe 10 times and then whatever. I don't. I just shoot from the hip and I aim after, right? I'm like, I shoot and I'm like, okay, it's 2 left. Let's go a little bit to the right. Like that's me. So I was just taking action so fast and figuring things out a lot faster than most people. But it also came at the expense of like, wasting a ton of money. So I started sharing with people my experiences, and I started doing like 1 podcast a week in 2020. And it kind of blew up in the industry. Everyone started hitting me up for like PPC advice and things like that. And just sharing what I can. And an aggregator hit me up towards the end of the year, and they said, we want you to train our in-house advertising team. We heard you're really good, but we want to see if you can walk the walk. So they hired me to run one of their brands. And 4 months later, they said, you beat out 6 other agencies that we hired. So we want you to train the team. I trained the team, and then I'm like, dude, like I'm a quote unquote Amazon influencer. A lot of people know who I am in the space. I'm clearly doing something very, very well. This is, I think, a good fit for me. And I always told myself I was never going to be married to like a business. I was just going to do what aligned with my goals, which is something I could be the best in the world at, something that I'm passionate about, excites me every day, and then something that I can add a lot of value to people, because obviously you get compensated in direct proportion to the value that you add to people. So it seemed like all of these things fit the right criteria. I got into it. Initially, when I got into it, I was like, I'm just gonna do it a little bit, but I want to focus on my MMA nutrition still. And then I saw like how much better I was at being an Amazon PPC agency versus being a supplement brand owner. And I decided to just like go all in, and that's what I've been doing ever since. We
That's
grew
an
from
extraordinary story, Mina. I love it. So, the Egyptian magician himself, Mina Elias, you went from dead broke Egyptian to an MMA fighter to $10,000 per month. Now, Amazon seller influencer, world renowned PPC manager, right? So,
expert.
the expert, there you go, expert,
Yeah.
because your the work that you do manifests itself in profits or lack thereof. So there's no hiding behind some fairy dust of a result, right? So you aim, then you adjust along the way. Seth and I are the same way. We like to what you call build the plane while we're flying it. So I feel like you're a man after my own heart when it comes to that. So tell me, and you are Egyptian, right? I've actually been to Egypt. I loved it while I was there. I just didn't like my drive through Cairo, which was quite alarming if you're not
Yeah.
hip to the local.
Yeah, if you've
It was a
never
little
been to
bit
Egypt, it's a pretty alarming, is like a very polite way to put it.
it was very shocking for me to be driving through Cairo with my family 3.5 hours on the way to the pyramids. But we'll talk about that at another time. What I want to know is tell me why you created your company. Why does Trivium Co. exist, and what makes you different?
Yeah, so like I said, the company was a long time coming, honestly, because I was constantly being hit up by friends and colleagues in the industry to run their ads, and I always turned it down. I said no, like I just want to be focused on my own brand. So it was natural, right? I kept being asked to do it, and the demand was there. I demonstrated the ability on with that first aggregator, and then it was like, okay, maybe there's something there, and it aligns with my goals, right? Which is like the freedom. I started business for freedom, of like time, location, financial freedom, and so it aligned with all of these because I could work whenever I wanted to. I wasn't tied down to going to a 9 to 5, or I wasn't tied down to a certain location. I can work from my computer, and I was adding value. And this is the number one thing that I like. Sean, you touched on it a little bit. It's like it shows. Like I come in, we take over, we run ads. Before, you were doing whatever 10,000 a month. Now you're doing 25,000 a month. There's a clear, easy way to demonstrate the results, and that's something that I really cared about. Is can I demonstrate that I'm adding a lot of value to these people, and we're able to do it. And so that's kind of how it started.
Okay, all right. I know we have a long way to go and a short time to get there, Seth. So you want to get to the next question?
Yeah, definitely. So, Mina, what you're talking about holds true. I mean, everything you're saying is like Sean and I to a T. We fire from the hip, and they're like, "Oh gosh, we got to correct our aim as we're going here." And you were just talking about the struggles of growth and managing that growth, whether that's your supplement business or your agency business. So, everybody here is trying to grow and manage it and make more money, right? So, what's the biggest mistake that you see sellers making with their ads? Because that's where you're an expert. Where could they make or avoid those mistakes that everyone's making?
Okay, I'll touch on two like big fundamental mistakes, and then I'll jump into like 6 or 7 like smaller like tactical mistakes. So fundamentally, what I noticed 99% of Amazon sellers are not doing is they're not tracking their analytics correctly, and then they're not taking action in like one direction. And what I mean by that is most Amazon sellers are looking at like their ACOS or their TACOS or whatever, but they fail to understand that there's a lot of issues in the attribution. So your ACOS doesn't really relate. Your TACOS is just a percentage. And so the way that we track analytics is we have a dashboard, and it shows week versus week, and it shows the total of ad spend, the total of sessions, the total of cost for that session, click-through rate, conversion rate, cost per click, Acos Tacos profits. So we're not just measuring advertising, analytics, because Amazon has built its platform in a way where advertising and conversion are married to each other. So you can't separate them. You can't just look at advertising. You need to look at the whole thing. So we track our ad spend. We track our sessions, which is the number of unique Amazon accounts that have visited our listing because of that ad spend. We track how much it cost us per person to come into that listing. We're tracking our conversion rate and click-through rate, because for the same advertising efforts, my ACOS or whatever could be cut in half if my conversion doubled. Or one week everything is great and we're profitable, the next week we're not, and it could be everything is the same with the advertising, and then it's your conversion or click-through rate that got affected. And that could be because of many different things, one of them being you went from a 4.5 star to a 4 star, so your entire advertising changes, because it's not like Facebook where the creative is the creative and the headline is the headline. Now you have like this dynamic landing page that's constantly changing, and it's also changing relative to other people, because one day it's you and then two competitors, and the next day it's you and two different competitors in the search results. And so having that visibility makes a huge difference, and tracking profit makes a huge difference. So that's the first fundamental issue. The second one is that we see people both trying to scale and optimize at the same time. So they're trying, and I mean, I'm sure Seth and Sean, with your company, you've never been like, hey, we're going to scale the team and scale our revenue, and our P&L is going to look better. It's just, come on, it's one or the other. Like, you know what I mean? And Amazon sellers or brands on Amazon, they also fail to see that. They fail to see that they either need to be scaling their revenue through launching campaigns, increasing bids, increasing budgets, doing those types of actions, or optimizing and becoming more profitable, which I'm sure you guys have done, right? You're like, who are the B players and C players? Let's remove them. Where are we spending marketing dollars and we haven't seen a return in a while? Let's eliminate that. Where are we wasting a little bit of time here and there? Let's shave that so our profit and loss statement looks better. And that's how Amazon sellers need to think as well.
So
I love
before Sean jumps in there, I'd like to think of it as when you're using sponsored ads to grow, you are more aggressive, which gets you to the next plateau of growth, and then you optimize for profit once you're there. You can't grow basically at the same time that you're growing profit normally. So you grow when you're aggressive in growth mode, and then once you hit your desired level of sales, then you start to optimize for profit. That's kind of how I see it, and that's what you're saying as well. So I love it. Go ahead, Sean.
Well, that's all right. Let Mina comment on that.
No, that's exactly it. That's it. So I call it bulking and cutting. If you guys are like familiar with like bodybuilding,
I've done it many times. Now
I do way more bulking than I do cutting.
It's exactly it. Like, you bulk, you put on the muscle, and then you're not trying to cut and bulk at the same time, because it won't work. And so that's the exact same way I view it.
I love it. All right, so let's move on. For those of you watching the live stream, then if you have a question specifically to Mina and what he does with his company for PPC ads, then please, by all means, go ahead and post that on YouTube or Facebook or wherever you're watching the stream. And then if you're just listening to this podcast, then check the show notes. We'll show you how to get a hold of Mina. But in the meantime, Mina, let me share a word from our sponsors, us. Hey there, it's Sean Hart. If you found the information on the Post-Purchase Podcast useful and impactful for your business, do us a favor and your colleagues a favor. Share this, like us, and let others know how to find us on your social channels. We'd sure appreciate you. Now let's get back to the show. Thank you. Okay, thank you for your patience through that, Mina. So can you talk about a specific case study? You don't have to give names or brands, but talk about someone who came into your company and that left with better results than they came with. I know you have tons of not war stories, but of wins and case studies, but which one really stands out to you that you can share with our audience?
Yeah, so I think one that stands out is we recently took on a client, and they were doing about $4,000 or $5,000 a day, and I think we've been working with them for 4 months now, and they're about 75 to 8,000 a day in revenue. Very profitably, we've been able to, obviously, after the scaling, and optimizing, we've been able to maintain the same level of profitability. Obviously, a lot more dollar amounts in profit. And then the one thing that they really were happy about is the amount of visibility that they were getting into what we were doing. And so it was a few simple things that we did with them. We looked at their campaigns, and a lot of them had 50 to 100 keywords in each campaign, and so that was a lot of basically like wasted keywords, because when you have a campaign and it has like 100 keywords, you can go in and sort by like spender sales, and you'll notice that probably the first 5 or 10 keywords are generating sales, and then the rest of them aren't. But a lot of those keywords could actually be very profitable if given the chance. And so we did a lot of extracting those keywords, launching them in their own campaigns. We're also a lot tighter with adding negatives. They weren't utilizing phrase for some reason, or the auto campaign. They thought the phrase campaigns were bad. They thought it was just the broad or exact, and they also thought that auto campaigns were bad because Amazon's algorithm or whatever. But because we have very tight monitoring of the keywords, we launched auto campaigns, all different match types, close match, loose match, complements, and substitutes in 4 separate campaigns. We launched a lot of phrase campaigns, and we were able to identify a ton of profitable search terms, but also eliminate a lot of any of the non-profitable search terms, which they did have existing in their broad campaigns. And so it was with a few changes, which is number one, having a lot more solid structure, single ad group, single campaign, up to 5 keywords. We scaled their budgets. They had a lot of campaigns with very profitable search terms that were getting $50 a day as a budget. So we would scale that to $500 a day. And so it was those changes that compounded, and it became, we have better structures. We're able to target more keywords effectively and give them all, get them all traffic. We're able to, optimize quickly for keywords that are not performing. We're able to extract profitable search terms, launch them in their own campaigns, scale the budgets, and we're able to, almost double their daily revenue, in the span of 4 months. And this is kind of the thing with like incorrect structure. If you don't have the right structure, you're almost like shunting your own growth, because you're just not allowing Amazon to give spend to the keywords that need spend.
Okay, fair enough. Love it. Solid advice, Seth.
Yeah, definitely. I love talking to people like you that are an expert in one area of the business, Mina, because if you can get really, really good at one area, then you can really help sellers grow. So, when you're talking about sponsored ads, it's not from your experience in just your account. It's your experience multiplied times however many clients you're working with every day. So speaking of clients, Mina, who is the perfect client for you guys? I know we talked about it a little bit before the show, but for everyone listening, who do you work with?
Yeah, so we mainly work with brands that are between 500,000 to 3 or 4 million a year in revenue. Smaller catalog sizes are preferred. So let's say like 10 parent ASINs or under, or at least 80-90% of your revenue being generated by 10 parent products. And we love working in competitive niches. So if you've worked with the agencies or you're in a competitive niche, which is like cosmetics, supplements, baby, like that's where we thrive, because that's where I was kind of born, right, into supplements. That's where the team was born, because they had to manage my brands first, which is all supplement brands. And it takes kind of a certain level of I guess having balls, right, to go after like very expensive cost per clicks and not worrying about it, because you believe in your processes, and you believe in like how tight you're managing things. So those are kind of the perfect clients for us. Not like products that are differentiated, products that we love, like Shark Tank type of products, where you come up with a solution to a problem that's better than everyone else's solution. Those are the perfect clients. And then that's pretty much it.
That's awesome. So now we have to tick the little box that says parental guidance for the podcast. We dropped the B word, bowls, but I understand what you mean. A lot of guys are out there trying to scale their ad campaigns, but they don't take the kid gloves off. You have to spend money to make money. And I think if I said this the other day on a webinar, and I still mean it. If we're working in the wrong direction, the only thing worse than that is working in the wrong direction with enthusiasm, right? So if your numbers are there and the economics make sense, you're really in the arithmetic business. All you have to do is scale that. But if you're not focused on the right metrics, then you're just moving in the wrong direction, working in the wrong direction enthusiastically. So I love it. Good, solid advice there. So a couple more questions for you. I know that you prepared something amazing for the folks who are streaming this live or who are watching or listening to the podcast. But before we get into that specific offer, I want you to say, like, if there's one thing or one idea that you want listeners to take away today, what would that be, Mina? What's the minimum effective dose, that the 20% that's going to get me 80% return?
I would say forget about the advice that says hire to your weaknesses, right? And you should look at any weakness and then not make it a weakness. And so I know a lot of people out there who are hiring at PPC agencies or Amazon agencies, and they're getting hurt all the time, right? And it's a combination of things, right? It could be that it's their product. It could be that their expectations aren't managed. It could be that they just don't know how to hold an agency accountable, because whenever they talk to them, the agency is saying, "Oh, we're doing this, we're doing that," and so I've had that experience. It happened to me multiple times. It happened to me with Google Ads. It happened to me with SEO. It happened to me with email marketing. Cold email marketing, when I've hired all of that stuff out, and every single time it was like a thought in my mind that this was a weakness and I need to hire to my weaknesses. But I stopped and I took a step back and I said, why is that my weakness? Why can't it be my strength? I don't have to do it, but I have to at least be knowledgeable about it. And I started hiring consultants. And I would find like the best consultants out there, pay for their time. And again, and like 4 to 6 hours of working with a consultant, asking them questions, having them teach me what they know. I'm able to know enough that I can be dangerous, and enough that I can keep the agencies accountable. So if you're listening to this right now and you have things that you consider are your weaknesses and you're looking to hire those things to your weakness, I would say before hiring anything to your weakness, go hire a consultant, get educated, make that your strength, and become at least better than 50% of the entrepreneurs out there at this certain thing. And then when it's time for you to hire an agency, you can keep them accountable. You know exactly what they're doing. If they say, "Oh, we're doing this, we're doing that," and you think it's wrong, you'll be able to catch it.
Love it. Seth?
Yeah, Mina, just some thoughts on that. So if you hire an agency, or if you hire a contractor, if you hire a company, you still have to know what you're managing them for. It's your company and you should be managing them just like you would an employee, but hopefully you don't have to manage them quite as closely, but you still have to read their results and make sure that they're producing for you. So really great advice there. So Sean, let's move to the last segment of our show here. We have a couple fun questions for you, Mina.
Well, before we
Awesome.
do, Mina, I wish you would. We do have a couple of fun questions, but what is that? Tell me a little bit about the special offer that you're making for the listeners and viewers of the Post Purchase Podcast, and we'll just share that URL before we do.
Perfect. Yeah. So we offer a free audit. And so if you guys don't know what that is, it's a 40-minute Loom video that we take. We basically go into the account, we look at your portfolio, we look at your analytics, we look at your sessions and your cost of that traffic, your conversion rate. We tell you what your cost per acquisition is, where the issue is there. We look at your campaign, names, your budgets. We tell you how to improve anything that we see that needs improving. We look at your, ad group structure, give you advice there. We look at your placements, give you advice there. So it's basically a 40-minute consultation on your own account, where we look at, under the hood, we look at your search term, we look at your organic ranking versus your sponsor rank, and we give a bunch of advice. It's actionable. You don't need us for any of this. You can take that, implement it on your own stuff. But obviously, we're in the business of selling the execution. So you can have all of the advice, all of the information. You can do it yourself, but at some point, when you decide to be the CEO, you're going to have to hire out for that role. And we're hoping that when it's time to hire out that execution, you'll think of us.
So in order to take advantage or redeem this free audit that you're offering, it's triviumcode.com/get-free-audit. So it's on the screen right now. If you're streaming this live, check that out. It'll also be in the show notes on the podcast. But go ahead and tell them what the URL is again, Mina.
Yeah, if you just go to the website, the first button there is get the free audit. So it's triviumcode.com. If you just go there, you're able to just click on get a free audit, or triviumcode.com/get-free-audit.
Love it. Seth?
All right, Mina, let's move into the last part of our show, where we ask 2 fun questions every week to every guest. And the first one that I have, and I want to know it, what is your all-time favorite business book?
My all-time favorite, I think, is I don't know if it's like a business book. It's a mix of a business book, but it's like Peak Performance, Elevate Your Game, and it really teaches you as a business owner how to think like a competitive athlete, like an Olympic athlete. A lot of like different mindset and concepts like and principles that apply both to Olympic athletes and to business. And if you think about it, when you're in business, you are an athlete. You're competing in business. You're competing against everyone. You're competing to win customers and clients and all of that stuff. And so I found the book talks about a lot of things, physically, but also a lot of things mentally, which carry on to business. And it's been a tremendous, like value add for me, because as I've improved my performance mentally and physically, that's translated into my business, and I've been able to succeed 10 times more. Even now, like as I continue to optimize my sleep and my recovery and my supplementation and my diet and all of that stuff, I noticed that I'm performing better and better and better in business. And so it translates. So that would be my top book.
I love it. So performing better and better and better means getting punched in the face on the weekends, right? Is that what that is
Exactly.
for
Punch
Omega?
less. Punch less.
So you're moving, you're slipping those punches a little better then, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so we're talking to entrepreneurs, and most of us are in business to make money, right? Not just as a hobby. So, speaking of money, what's something that you have purchased in the last 12 months that may be considered a splurge by others, but you definitely don't regret the purchase?
Oh man, that's tough. I think I spent like $1,500 on a dinner, like for two people, and
Well, where were you, in Dubai or something?
yeah. I think it was in Dubai, and it was like a wagyu, like a
How
whole
did I know?
wagyu thing. It was
Yes.
right
The only
after
time I've had a
Emirates. Yeah.
$700 bowl of soup was in Dubai. So
Oh, you
at
did?
the Burj Al Arab or whatever it's called.
Yeah. I had their 24 karat gold coffee there.
Oh my
Uh,
goodness.
yeah,
I
it
had soup
wasn't that
and a glass of
expensive.
wine, and my wife and I spent about $1,200. I think she had some kind of lamb, and I had soup and wine, and that was it. But the funny
It's
thing
the
was,
wine.
you have to wear a jacket there, and I went in there looking like my redneck self in a t-shirt, and so I was like, okay, you just go ahead and eat. I'll just wait down in the lobby with the other schleps. And so they said, sir, we have a jacket you can borrow. So they hand me a jacket, and it's like, like Tommy Boy, short sleeves, because I'm 6'6", and it's like, a fat guy, little coat. It was hilarious, but they
Wow.
took my money nonetheless, and things were. Any final parting words of advice or wisdom before we wrap this up, Mina?
Yeah, my final parting words are, if you never quit, you'll never fail. And this is something I always take into heart. The only time that you don't have a chance is as soon as you quit. So never quit.
Never quit. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for sharing with us, Mina, Elias, and for taking the time out of your day to share with our audience. We love meeting other entrepreneurs. Looking forward to many more meetings with you. We have a lot to talk about, so don't go anywhere, my friend. Thank you.
Thanks.